In this fifth lesson on the CAGED system, you are now going to learn how the pentatonic minor scale relates to the C, A, G, E, and D minor forms of the CAGED system. Just as with the pentatonic major scale, the same rules here apply in that every position of the pentatonic minor scale corresponds to a specific form of the CAGED system. Here, the minor forms of the C, A, G, E, and D chords. All right, so let's just dive right in and get to it. All right, here we have the first position of the pentatonic minor scale in the key of A, which is the key we'll be playing through today. Pretty familiar stuff, right? Okay. Now, in the middle position of the diagram, you'll see the A minor chord using the E form of the CAGED system, but we're going to be using the minor version of the E form to play the A minor. So we take the 3 and we flatten it, right? On the right-hand side of the diagram, you'll see the chord overlaid the scale, and all the notes of the chord are part of the scale. All right, you with me so far? Good. Now, as before, you want to record just an A minor chord progression, just literally an A minor, no other chords, in some kind of rhythm, kind of like this. Then play the pentatonic minor over the top of it, right? All right. That's pretty much just to help you hear the sound of the A minor and the A minor pentatonic scale. All right. What I want you to do now is to jump around and even arpeggiate the A minor a little bit. So to help you get a little more out of the arpeggiation element, I want you to draw your note to the second note of the scale here at the 8th fret on the 6th string and the 8th fret of the 1st string. That is the flat 3. It's a C tone. That's a flat 3. So you can actually, instead of just doing this, you can add this note. To your playing when you arpeggiate the chord. So it's going to have a little bit more body to it by adding those notes. And then jumping around too, and adding double stops, whatever, right? So it'll do something like this. Along those lines, jumping around, adding double stops, arpeggiating the A minor chord using the E minor form of the CAGED system. Just kind of enjoy, get lost in it, experiment. Try to avoid bending strings and using hammer-ons and pull-offs too much, so that you're really just working the notes of the scale without all these ornaments. You're purposely limiting yourself to force yourself to find other ways to express an idea. All right, so pause the video, experiment with this for a little while, and I'm not just talking a second or two. Take a few minutes, just try to get lost in it and really explore just this position. Don't move off this position above or below it. Stay put right here. That's the other challenge. All right, and after you've done that for a few minutes, Go ahead and press play and we'll keep going. In the diagram on the left, you'll see the pentatonic minor second position, the extended form or extended position of the scale. Play through that, double tapping your roots. Double tapping the key tone, in this case A, keeps you centered in the key of A so that you're clear you're playing the A minor scale, the pentatonic minor scale in A. All right. In the middle diagram, you see the A minor played with the D form of the caged system, or the D minor form in this case. We've taken the 3 and flattened it, right? So now, very minor. Now, if you want it really focused, drop the 5th string note. There, it's really focused. Add this, you add a little bit more body. On the right-hand side, you see the notes of the chord overlaid the scale, and you'll see that the notes of the chord are made up exclusively of notes of the scale. Even this. All right? So, you associate the second position of the pentatonic minor scale with the D form, or the D minor form, of the caged system. All right? Now, play your backing track and just play the pentatonic minor second position, the extended position of the scale exclusively over that. And experiment, jump around, right? And have a little fun with it. And you can even add double stops and a few other things, you know, the arpeggiations, which you heard there. Stuff like that, just really experiment. Now, you're really familiar with those 3 strings because usually when you move from the first position into the second position, that's where you stick your fingers and play a lot of that stuff. Now, those 3 strings are neglected, and I call those black holes, where a lot of guitar players refuse to go, don't venture, are afraid to go because they're not really comfortable with it. Get comfortable with it. There's stuff going on there. You saw me do some double stops there and a couple other things. And that's the whole idea, to experiment with the possibilities that are contained in these unfamiliar places. Do that, and you'll find you're going to create some pretty cool ideas. Okay? So pause the video and play through this for a few minutes, 5 minutes or so. Take a little time, get lost in it, and really see what the possibilities are that you never explored previously. Okay? Now, when you're done doing that, restart the video and we'll keep going. On the left-hand side of the diagram, you see the 3rd position of the pentatonic minor scale, the nested form or position. Again, as you play through this, double tap your roots to keep your key center where it belongs and your brain focused on the minor scale in the key of A. Play through that a few times, get comfortable with it, and really pay attention, right? In the middle of the diagram, you see the A minor chord. This is the most uncomfortable way of playing the C form of the A minor chord. We have other ways of doing it, but for the moment, we're not going to deal with that because we've dealt with it in part 3 of this series. So refer to that. Okay, so this just helps you see that in this particular position, the third position of the pentatonic minor scale, the C form of the A minor is contained. And on the right-hand side of the diagram, you'll see the notes are contained in the scale. Now, that's a C as well, so you actually have an extra C. Okay, so, all right, you know the drill now. Play the pentatonic minor third position, the nested form, over your backing track, something like this. Right, just play around, dance around, get comfortable with it. Then bring in the other aspect of playing arpeggiations and jumping around, experimenting with things you'd never think of doing, right? So here we go. Stuff like that. You don't have to get too creative, but definitely strive to be creative. Play around with things. Really work this position. Now, bear in mind, a lot of guitar players, they play those 3 notes from the third position, and then they transition up to the 4th position here. They go up to the 4th position from there, and that's very common. So it's these notes that are the least commonly used from this position. But there's a lot going on here that you can play around with, and it really is important to do just that. Play around with this stuff. Get it clear in your head exactly what you need to get yourself out of any rut you might find yourself in, any sameness you might find yourself in. This is where you got to shake it up and be willful about it. So pause the video and do that. Play around with this for a little while. Get comfortable with it and experiment in ways you don't normally apply, okay? Then, when you're ready to keep going, press play and do just that. In the diagram on the left-hand side, you see the pentatonic minor 4th position, the tied form or position of the scale. Play through this, double tapping your roots. Pretty straightforward stuff. Now, if you're not real comfortable with this position, spend a little bit of time. Get your fingers used to what they're supposed to do here before you keep going. In the middle of the form, you see, in the middle of the diagram, you see the A minor chord in the A form or A minor form of the CAGED system. Pretty straightforward stuff there, right? Now, on the right-hand side of the diagram, you see the notes overlaid across the 4th position of the scale. Right? Pretty straightforward stuff. showing that the notes of the A minor chord are made up of notes from the scale. All right? Now, you know what's going to come next? You play the pentatonic minor over the top of your rhythm track. Let's see, where am I? Straightforward stuff. Just play around, have fun with it, do stuff that's comfortable and familiar, because now what I want you to do is play unfamiliar stuff and arpeggiate the A minor. Now I'm going to give you something here, again, just like in the first position. Here's your A, here's a C, which is the flat 3 tone of the A minor chord. So you have an extra note. Right? So you can add that in as you play through the arpeggio. Then jump around and enjoy the ride. Experiment, see what you can do with this position. And remember, you can start on any note you want. Now again, if you play bad notes, don't worry about it. I played a bad note. You just keep going. You recognize that bad note because it just doesn't fit. And that helps you understand when you're playing good notes because they do fit. Okay? So, pause the video, take some time to play around with this and really understand what's going on. Now, when you are playing in the 4th position, it's very likely those 4 strings are really comfortable. Remember when I talked about coming up from the 3rd position into the 4th position? That's what I'm talking about. That's what everybody's comfortable doing. These notes on the bottom 2 strings are very underutilized by a lot of players. Again, another little black hole I want to make you aware of. Play around with those, work with them, see what you can come up with employing those in this position, and play exclusively in this position, of course. No cheating, okay? Then, when you're ready to move forward, press play, and we will move forward. Here, in the diagram on the left, you see the pentatonic minor 5th position. You've got 3 roots here, so play through it, double tapping your roots. In the middle of the diagram, you see the A minor chord using the G form or the G minor form of the CAGED system. Now, this is a very uncomfortable form to play. I can play that one really easy. Or I can just play a couple of notes here, but you see it there laid out. So as we see on the right-hand side of the diagram, the notes overlay the scale form, and you can see they hit notes that are part of the scale all the way through. Pretty straightforward stuff, right? And so, you know what you do now? Play the pentatonic minor 5th position, the aligned form, over your track. And remember, you can start on any note you want. And now that you're comfortable with it, start jumping around and arpeggiating your A minor chord in this fifth position. 3, 4. Stuff like that. Really push yourself to find cool stuff, because that's where the unique things lie, is in the untested and untried things. As I said, this position is a black hole, the whole thing, because very little of it is ever used. Maybe those notes, maybe, right? And your way up to the first position, right? At the octave. Maybe those notes are used, but the rest of it, very little application is ever applied, used. I have not come across people sitting in this position in most of their soloing. They usually jump over to another position. So really experiment with this and see what you can come up with. So pause the video and do just that. Experiment. See what you can come up with. Arpeggiate. Play angular. Really jump around and do everything you can to exploit what this position has to offer. All right? And when you're ready to continue, press play and we'll keep going. All right, now we want you to put this to work, right? All this information, you want to now work it to get it to start to stick and become internalized. So what I've done is I put together a progression that I'm going to play over, and if you have access to the written material, you will see the progression. It's one measure of A minor, E form of that chord, then one measure of D minor, the A form of that chord, back to one measure of A minor, E form again, to the G for 2 beats, E form, and the D minor for 2 beats in the A form. And then you start over again on the A minor. So it's just 4 measures. We're not trying to be clever here. We're trying to be useful in creating a progression that is easy to follow, that you don't have to think about too much. So what you're going to do is you're going to play for 2 minutes on the first position, 2 minutes on the second, and the third and the fourth and the fifth positions, so that you associate the first position of the scale to the E form of the CAGED system, the second position of the scale to the D form of the CAGED system, the third position of the scale to the C form of the CAGED system, the fourth position of the scale to the A form of the CAGED system, and the fifth position of the scale to the G form of the CAGED system. In this case, all minors, right? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to play one pass of the progression in each of the 5 positions up the fretboard, just to give you an idea of what you're going for. All right, here we go. Remember, you can start on any note you want. 2, 3, 4. Pretty much like that. Okay? So take your time, pause, play through this, record the progression, and play through it. 2 minutes in each of the 5 positions, no less, and stay exclusively in each of the 5 positions. All right? Okay. When you're ready to continue, press play, and we'll keep going. All right, there you have a great little demonstration of how to work through each of the 5 positions of the scale and integrate the caged counterparts as well into your playing. In doing this, it will start to feel more natural and it will have more flow and fluid feel to it. It won't feel forced. And that's where you want to get, is to where things don't feel forced. You've practiced them, you've worked with them, and integrated them into your normal daily approach. And this is how you get things to get from feeling forced and unnatural to flowing and feeling second nature, right? And that's what we're all after. Now, one more thing you can do, which I didn't demonstrate, is go ahead and use the progression that you just played over and play through all 5 positions. Just kind of move between them using scale elements and caged elements to make that happen. Now, when you create new progressions to practice this stuff over, use the caged versions of the chords so that you're integrating those kinds of things into your playing as well, using caged chord shapes versus just the normal chord shapes. Mix it up, play normal chord shapes and caged chord shapes in a given progression. This way, you'll be integrating it even deeper into your psyche, into your understanding and your knowledge base, and so your ability. It will be natural when you play it because you've practiced it to make it come out and feel natural. That's when you're making real progress, when stuff is integrated and coming out without you having to force it. I need to play these arpeggios. They'll just start happening. I need to play these chord forms. They'll just start happening because you do it as a matter of course, right? And that's what we're all after. Okay, there you go. The next lesson will be waiting for you when you're ready, as will I. See you there. Hey, thanks for watching. If you press the little red button down there in the corner, you'll be subscribed to Outsmart Your Guitar. If you then hit the notification bell, you'll be informed when we upload new material, which is usually around once a week. Below the video in the description, you will see a link that will take you to where you can download a PDF of the lesson material that accompanies this video. All lessons contain a link to give you access to the written material for that lesson. Below that, you will see a link to Patreon Outsmart Your Guitar, where I have a lot of material that isn't included here. So you may want to check that out. There's 2 levels of subscription. I'd really appreciate if you would become a patron by subscribing at one of the 2 levels and help support my efforts to continue to provide high quality lesson material for you, to help you learn, play, and grow to become the guitar player you desire to be. All right, thanks very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And hey, we'll see you soon.